What is Project Slithervine? The Imperial scientist Hemlock is responsible for a number of projects that secretly shaped the Empire in its early years. The remote jungle planet of Cetron was the home of many such secrets of the Empire, but most prominently, it served as the testing grounds of one of the most terrifying experimental weapons, the Slithervine. We were introduced to this secret Imperial project in Season 3 of The Bad Batch, and in its short appearance there is a lot of information to explain. Those unfortunate enough to see Project Slithervine firsthand will have a lot to deal with. The first sign is a vile, rotten smell, a hideous scent that will deter all wildlife from the area. They will then observe an expansive, ever-growing array of vines overtaking the entire region. The region will then become more and more tangled, taking up large portions of the ground and getting denser as you get closer to the center of the affected area. They will also grow darker, as the vines turn a sickly black color and fill the region with an intense toxic stench, making the area inaccessible without use of a respirator. The Slithervine weapon also possesses responsive detection through touch, which is hard to avoid due to its growth across all reachable surfaces. Once it's aware of you, a wild consciousness takes over and it begins to hunt you down, almost like the plant can smell you. Its all-encompassing control of the territory it resides in means that you can't trust any direction. You are best off avoiding it altogether. Though this is difficult, as Slithervine can create dangerous mobile plant hounds separate from the vine structure, which act a lot like the flood spores from Halo.
Go! Keep moving!
The Slithervine's central form also has a similar appearance to that of a Sarlacc, though it likely shares a genetic branch with the plant-like Vixus, which resides on Umbara. The Vixus also had tentacles that looked like harmless vines that would ensnare its victims and draw them into its toothy mouth. The Slithervine also appears to have approximately a 40-foot diameter central mass, similar to the size of a Sarlacc. How deep within the waters of Cetron the creature ran is unknown, but its size is certainly still gargantuan. Slithervine was so deadly that it broke free of its containment, forcing the Imperial science facility it resided in to be evacuated with haste. Such was their fear of the experimental weapon that they were unable to properly detonate the facility's sabotage charges and were forced to open fire with orbital strikes instead. But Slithervine proved resilient and remained even after the devastating firepower was unleashed upon it from orbit. But that's what Slithervine does. But what purpose would a weapon such as this serve for the Empire? Why would Hemlock risk his very important cloning facility to develop it? Well, tactical application of this weapon would turn a region approximately a mile radius into a toxic wasteland after just merely a week. Though who knows how long it would take until an entire planet was suffocated in those deadly vines. The Empire would be able to use this as a very thorough area denial weapon. It could be deployed against entrenched fortified enemies of the Empire, where the recovery of the occupied territory is deemed unimportant. The Slithervine would be deployed just outside of the enemy fortifications, allowing its rapid spread to breach walls, tunnels, and other kinds of static defenses, strangling the enemies of the Empire in layers upon layers of toxic vines. To make this monstrosity, I would theorize that Hemlock's team took the genetic makeup of a Sarlacc and a Vixus and combined it with a toxic plant life which I think is an offshoot species of a Thornsuckle plant. Now this species first appeared in the Star Wars novel Pirate's Price. It was described as an extinct yet extremely poisonous plant, with only a small sample having been recovered by the criminal organization known as the Mandragonian Mob. The criminal group sought to clone the plant and use it as a biological weapon, hiring Kaminoan scientist Kolak Prue to clone it for them. In the novel, the plant is seemingly destroyed when a former clone assistant to Prue detonated the replicated plant with a defiler bomb. However, the whereabouts of the sustained sample are still up for question. Due to the Slithervine's similar traits of violent expansion and toxicity, I believe that Hemlock's team may have acquired a similar plant material to experiment with. Due to the timeline of the novel and The Bad Batch, we know that this is not the same plant, but my theory is that a remaining similar plant life on a planet affected by such a devastating biological life form would certainly have mutated similar traits to the dangerous species. Perhaps a plant sample from one such mutation could be the basis for the Slithervine weapon. cloning its genetic material and beginning the process of weaponizing the plant for Imperial purposes, on the very same remote outpost where his primary project was taking place. Though that's a video for another time. So, if you ever find yourself surrounded by vines and trapped in a mysterious haze on your way to an Imperial research facility, go back. It's not worth it. This has been another episode of College of Lore, and the first in our series covering the secret projects of the Empire. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and check back regularly for more lore. Also, if there's a project you want to see us cover, be sure to mention it in the comment section down below. Until then, I have been Sam, and thank you very much for watching.